Senate Bill 403 by Senators Wahab and others, an act relating to discrimination.
Assemblymember Conley, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I'm pleased to present SB 403 on behalf of Senator Wahab. SB 403 is a groundbreaking measure which clarifies that caste discrimination will not be tolerated in California. Protection against caste discrimination will be added into the Fair Employment and Housing Opportunity Act, the Unruh Civil Rights Act, and the Education Code. This bill demonstrates California's leadership on issues of civil rights and continues this legislature's tradition of increasing protection against hate. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no debate, Assemblymember Lee, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Caste discrimination has no place in California. Every Californian, regardless of their social status, deserves to live with dignity and respect. And California has a strong history of protecting those most vulnerable. This bill today and the amendments clarifies existing law that caste discrimination is not allowed, is not legal, by expanding upon the definition of ancestry. Now, I've said it many times, but my district is the largest Asian Pacific Islander American district in the entire state of California. 60% of my constituents are API, and 20% of all of my constituents are Indian American alone. Now, the sad reality is caste discrimination exists solely within one diaspora, within one community, and I thank every single community member who has spent so much time over the past better part of a year meeting and talking to me about this issue. Whether they support it or they oppose it, there have been hundreds of constituents who have strong opinions and feelings about this. And I think that a matter like this deserves strong cultural competency and diplomacy. Now, even though my Asian district is very, very Asian, we are not all the same, and we do not all have the same allegiances back home and same cultures. And so I've been doing a lot of listening and learning about this bill, a lot of listening and learning. Frankly, it was a bill that, or caste, frankly, I thought was a thing that existed in the olden times and no longer existed, but I was very wrong. So my goal has always been to ensure that this bill is the best bill that protects against discrimination and that comes out of this process and doesn't unfairly single out anyone. And by making it clear that discrimination based on ancestry and caste is illegal, SB 403 serves to protect the civil rights in our state. And I hope that after this bill is done with, our South Asian community can begin to heal and reconcile and figure out more about these issues in the community. Thank you.
Seeing no, Assemblymember Gallagher, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise today in strong opposition to the caste system. It is antithetical to our American values of equal opportunity for all, of freedom, respect for all people. But I do have concerns with this bill, and they've been expressed, I think, in many of the committees, that I think we always have to begin with any bill is to ask the question, is this legislation necessary? And as many people have pointed out, if there is discrimination going on based on caste, it would be illegal under our existing law. Under the existing law that says you cannot discriminate on the basis of ancestry. So once again, our law is already very clear on this issue. And it's clear because in America, we have never allowed for a caste system. And so it begs the question of why are we actually referencing caste in this country where such a system has never existed? And there have also been legitimate concerns raised about us passing a bill based on an unscientific survey about the existence of caste discrimination in this country, and evidence that was actually already presented in the only case that this has actually been brought forth in California, the only case, was thrown out because there wasn't evidence of such discrimination occurring. And so before we start passing laws, and this is also a bill that very much has divided our Indian community, which I care for very much, and I've spoken many times about that community in my district and many of your districts. It has divided people in a very real way. And so before we move forward, and I feel like this has actually been very much rushed, this process, before we should really ask ourselves, is this something that really exists, that is really happening, and is this the best way to approach it? There are a lot of concerns on that front that I think actually need more debate. There is real concern that this could be used to target certain communities. And that is something that I think we should all be paying very much attention to. There are real concerns about, does this step into First Amendment protections, freedom of religion? Those are things that all should be considered. We all abhor the caste system. Caste is wrong. We should absolutely be calling it out. And some of the things that we have been seeing going on in India, which we have called out on this floor. But whether or not we should pass this law, to me, is something that I think needs a lot more thought before we move this through this process. I can't support the bill today, but I would ask that we spend more time on this. Let's work through this. Let's make sure that we get this right, members.
Seeing no further debate or discussion, Assemblymember Conley, would you like to close?
Thank you, and I do appreciate the discussion, as well as the minority leader recognized. We do not want to have caste in employment practices or other aspects of society in California. He asked the question, isn't caste already covered by existing law, rendering this unnecessary? The fact of the matter is there is no consensus on whether it's covered. And in fact, in proceedings in court, there's been ambiguity around that, with judges, attorneys disagreeing on that point. Agencies not clear on whether it is in fact covered. That hampers the goal that we all agree, and that is to stop this wrongful conduct in our state. We need to make it clear and explicit that caste is covered by the law. That's what this statute does. Clear and explicit laws will protect both complainants and defendants alike by allowing for greater predictability and consistency with respect to claims of discrimination on the basis of caste. And in fact, with great deliberation and thought, this bill takes it toward the step of actually defining what caste is. And I think the amendment in this case was well taken to make it a part of ancestry explicitly. Due to its nuanced nature, we need to expressly state that caste is discrimination. We define it, and we clearly make it unlawful. For that reason, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Connolly. Clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Ayes 50, noes 3. Measure passes. Moving back on the file to file number 15. File number 15, AB 1140. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1140, Committee on Insurance, an act relating to insurance.
Assemblymember Calderon, you recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Assembly Bill 1140, the Insurance Committee Omnibus, is back for concurrence in Senate amendments. Senate amendments were technical. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no discussion nor debate, clerk will open the roll. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. All those vote who desire to vote. Clerk, close the roll. Ayes 64, noes 0. Amendments are concurred. Moving into file number 95.